Okay. Next on, we have Chief Stetner with his report. Chief, do I have you unmuted? I believe I do.
Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir.
All right. Monthly report for September. Calls for service, 2,676. We had 0 homicides, 22 assaults, 2 sexual, 3 burglaries, 27 thefts, 2 42 domestic investigations, 39 arrests, 9 narcotics investigations, and we had 0 station house adjustments. As far as summonses, we're a total of 280. 132 of them were moving, 66 parking. We had 14 town ordinance violations and 16 other tickets. I'm sure you guys spoke to this at the last meeting, but the Community Day Action was a very good event, and I'd like to thank Mary Jo for everything she did with that, helping out. And upcoming events on November 17th, we're going to honor Kenneth Red Vandergrift. This will be the 90th anniversary of his passing. And that is my report.
Hey, thank you. Thank you, Chief. Appreciate it. Councilman White, is there any questions you have for the Chief on his report?
Nothing, thank you.
Hey, thank you, sir. Councilwoman DeDrolin, there you are. Lost for a second.
Nothing, thank you.
Councilman Fulper?
Chief, excuse me, you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Chief, I have just a few questions. On Wednesday last week, it was brought to my attention that by various residents that there was gang graffiti prominently sprayed on various buildings on Marshall Street. And it was, I believe, the Norton's building, the office building, some of the concrete walls. I had attempted to contact you via email, but was unsuccessful. A friend of mine with the local prosecutor's office and a former New Jersey State Police trooper who worked with their street gang unit took a look at the photographs and stated that the tags were in fact tied to the Blood Street Gang. I'm sure it comes as no surprise to anybody else that a loaded weapon was found 2 blocks away on a playground from this area. And, this is an area that I grew up in personally, and I don't believe that it was ever that bad. Thankfully, that situation was mitigated successfully. Chief, you were aware of the graffiti?
No, I was not.
You were not aware of the graffiti. Okay, I could send you those pictures. None of the patrolmen reported the graffiti?
I'd have to check the system.
Okay.
I'll put it to my attention, though.
Are you aware that we have, do you have a gang investigations unit here in the town of Phillipsburg?
Yes, we have an officer assigned to do gang and narcotics work.
Okay, only one officer?
Yeah, well, he coordinates it.
Okay. Are there any programs currently in place to persuade the youth of our community to avoid joining criminal street gangs?
Just a program which deals a lot with drugs. They touch upon gang.
Okay. But nothing that would nothing specifically tailored to criminal street gang activity in general. I'm getting a lot of.
Yeah, I don't know what that was. I'm sorry. No.
Sorry about that, guys. That was my fault.
It's okay. Okay, perhaps it's something that we could take a look at in the future. I mean, especially since these tags seem to they keep popping up here in the town of Phillipsburg. Are there proactive measures currently that you're taking? I mean, if you didn't know, I guess the answer would be no. But my next question would have been, what protective measures are you taking to keep the residents safe? But if you didn't know that there wasn't gang activity, I mean, how could you do that? So I guess that question's moot at this point in time. My next question, Chief, is regarding the nuisance ordinance with respect to rental properties. You're familiar with Chapter 441 of the Town Code, yes?
I'm not exactly sure what you're speaking of.
Okay, so that chapter of the code outlines chronic police calls to properties, calls such as public disturbances, nuisances. Okay, all recurring at the same location. You are familiar with Chapter 441?
Yep.
Okay, so that portion of the ordinance, as I read, appears to be designed to punish landlords who continue to rent their properties consistently to those who engage in nuisance behavior. This is an issue that we have seen predominantly with landlords who don't live here in town, at the town of Phillipsburg. And I guess my question is, have you had to use, or do you currently use have you enforced Chapter 441 of the Town Code to issue violations or citations regarding such?
We've never made it past step 1, which is advising them.
Okay, so you have not been called out to the same property, or just?
So normally what happens is if we get a complaint about a property, if a property is forwarded to us that is becoming a chronic for police calls. We look into it. We send the landlord a letter chronicling what the calls are.
Okay.
And if it continues after that, they would be cited.
So you do have those letters in your possession at the police department that you have sent letters out to these landlords.
Yes.
Excellent. Is it, I'll save that question for the mayor because he does oversee the department. I don't want to overstep my boundaries. The last thing I have, Chief, is in the past week, I've gotten a ton of calls regarding narcotics activity on South Main Street, especially in the area of Chappelle Park. And I know that, we've had this conversation in the past, and you're going to tell me that I should have them call you, but they clearly stated that we're their elected officials and they're calling us. So my question to you is, I guess not so much a question, but more of a cry for help for the people downtown. Is there anything, you did say there was nine narcotic investigations currently taking place, or they did take place last month. Are there arrests? And what can I tell them? I mean, how can I make our residents feel a little bit more safer down there in the downtown area? Is there something that you can do?
Narcotics is our top priority down there right now.
So you do have investigatory hours spent on narcotics activity?
Absolutely.
Do you have an estimate offhand?
Not offhand.
Okay. Is it something that you'd be able to get to the mayor and he'd be able to send over to council?
Probably at some point.
At some point, meaning, I mean, if it's readily available, would that be something that you'd be able to get to us, say, by tomorrow?
No, it's not readily available.
Okay, so it's not readily available.
No.
Okay, so is that something you'd have to go through all the reports to take a look at and then calculate?
Probably, yes.
Okay, so that's a yes. I'm imagining probably means yes. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, excellent. I look forward to seeing that report, and that's all I have. Council President, thank you. Chief, thank you for coming this evening.
No problem.
Thank you, Councilman Fulper. Council Vice President. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, Council Vice
Sorry,
President.
no, you had me unmuted 3 times this evening. I have already rebooted, so as you know, you let me back in, so I apologize. I missed a lot of Councilman Fulper's questions and did catch the tail end of it, and it's probably best that I did miss them. Chief, you mentioned, good evening, you did mention the ceremony. Could you, I was cut out, like I said, could you repeat that ceremony again, please, and the date?
It's November 17th, and we honor Kenneth Red Vandergriff. It's the 90th anniversary of his passing.
Okay, the reason why I asked that was because I sent an email to you and you said you want to help out as much as possible. And it wasn't so much the Officer Vandergriff, which I do respect greatly, the Black Bridge ceremony. What I requested was with myself and Councilman Fulper, along with one of your current officers and retired officers, I thought that was a pretty sound committee to be directly involved with the ceremony of the blue line painting and supporting of our police, the entire police and law enforcement community, along with a rebranding of the Officer Vandergriff. So I asked about itineraries and what you have here. They told me that I volunteered myself. I have my committee on standby. I did ask for itineraries by the close of business. Like usual, if you are a Phillipsburg councilman, I got nothing. So I'm asking here now to you to expand a little bit on how you have this ceremony, because I did ask on what you had. Could you possibly expand on the ceremony, since I'm now locked out, so is Councilman Fulper? Do we have, I had the Phillipsburg Pep Band involved, I had Red Cross, I had multiple agencies involved. I just want to know can you tell the public a little bit where we're at with this?
There'll be an event on November 17th, and our honor guard is planning it out as we speak.
What type of unveil?
Yeah, yeah.
So like I said, our honor guard is planning it out. When they have the details all ironed out of what they're doing, we'll release that.
All right, you do understand that Councilman Fulper and I had a subcommittee plan for a council's idea to do this. We had a very grand plan. I'm trying to understand why we're not involved so much anymore. Could you expand on that?
If you guys who want to do a blue line ceremony, which we're all for, the police department that day is honoring Red Vandergrift. So whatever you
Right.
guys do, we'll
Right.
help you with, and that's what the email that when you emailed me, that's what I emailed back to you. If you whatever you'd like to do, we'd appreciate it. We appreciate your support every time, every opportunity we have of that.
Actually, you said, actually, Chief, and if you want to open the email, I'll get that email out shortly before the meeting's ended. You said you want to help in any way possible. So that went from getting your help any way possible to cutting out Councilman Fulper and I. So I have a little issue with that. But that's okay. We will be there to support. 2 years ago, you had the Officer Vandergrift Black Bridge ceremony. So you're just doing it 2 years later. It was actually to support, again, all of our law enforcement community. With the blue line painting. But I believe, just like Councilman Fulper did, we have our answers. Thank you, Chief. Council President.
All right. Thank you for your time, Chief. I don't have any questions this evening. Is there anything else you'd like to announce? Any dates? Anything else?
Nope, that's it. I'm good.
Okay. Thank you, Chief Stetner.